Welcome to the ModGolf YouTube channel. I'm Colin Weston, your host, and today we're going to explore golf course ownership. And you think the traditional model, it's always private, whether one course, a couple of courses, or hundreds of courses. But I've met someone who is out of the UK where they're doing the model a bit differently and doing that successfully. And that is doing that through a charity model. We're going to talk about that today on the ModGolf Podcast YouTube channel. So today my guest is Nick Darby, who is the operations manager with Get Golfing out of the UK. Let me bring Nick on here.
Hello, Colin.
There he is. Nick, good to see you again. So you and I just finished up our audio podcast, our long form, where we really dug into all the great things you have done, are doing, and are going to be doing in the future with Get Golfing. So for our viewers here, why don't we start with that? Why don't you give us an overview of what it is that Get Golfing does and why you do it?
Absolutely. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you, ModGolf Podcast, for having me on the show. And my name's Nick Darby, and I am from England, and I work for a fantastic charity called Get Golfing. And we run golf courses here in the UK, solely England at the moment, but who knows? We started with one, 6 years later, now we have 12, and here we are.
Wow. Yeah. So once again, for our viewers here, I will include down in the show notes below the link to our podcast episode where, yeah, we really get into the history and with your founder, who sadly did pass away a few months ago, and that transition and the legacy that he's left. But we want to talk about a few other things here. So not repeating exactly what we did here. We were talking about the future, but let's start about that as far as that connectivity and the great things that you're going to be doing later this year, kind of giving back off the golf course. So tell us a little more about this festival that you're going to be having this year, and then apparently a 3-year deal with the Ladies European Tour, the LET, and really the interesting, impactful, and really fun things you're going to be doing with that event.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, golf needs to be fun. And to get people playing golf, we need to make it even more enjoyable than it currently is. And we think we're doing it right, but we're going to do it even better. So in August this year, here in England, just north of London, we're going to be hosting a festival of Golf Week. Now, you name it, if we can do it, we're going to be doing it. We're going to have over the week, we're going to be having DJs, we're going to be having food trucks, we're going to be having longest drive competitions, we're going to be having night golf every night, we're going to be having golf sixes, and then in between all of the fun things, the two things that are going to be the big events of the week are the Ladies European Tour Access Series event with the biggest payout in history, which is fantastic. So we're hoping to see some amazing golf from 132 fantastic ladies. And then earlier in the week, we are going to be having the first ever G4D global Ladies for Golf Disabled event, which is, if all things fail, but that one event is a success, then it's absolutely fantastic. It's going to be a 36-hole competition, lady exclusive disabled golf event, which is just going to be incredible.
Wow. Wow. I have had the pleasure of having at least 3 or 4 disabled golfing women on the podcast. I wonder if any of them are going to be there. A couple of them are in the para golfer domain. A couple have kind of neural challenges, so they're doing some great things in that space and what they're doing to represent their community. So yeah, I'm very curious as that expands to learn more about what you're going to be doing there. And you and I had touched on this, Nick, that that some of the things that my company that I'm a partner at with Reviver Sport Entertainment, that for years, even for Topgolf was a thing, we've created something called Ripped Links, which is like golf sixes, but it's that American Ninja Warrior meets X Games meets Red Bull Action Sport. 3 par 3 holes. It's fun. There's music, all the things going on there, and men and women are playing at the same time. So who knows? Maybe one
Fantastic.
day you and I will connect, and I'll show you a little more with ripped links of all that stuff. I'll include some images. Hopefully, they're rolling right now while I'm talking away here to show what it is that we've developed for a couple of years ago, and that would be amazing if perhaps next year you see what we're doing, that we can collaborate and do something that's awesome and fun and urban and inclusive also with that. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, perhaps sooner than you think. You'll be traveling across the pond over here in England playing some golf, and maybe 2025 could be the year.
Exciting, exciting. As we talked about on the podcast, you and I met serendipitously. We happened to have the good fortune of sitting on a bus at the PGA Show in Orlando about a month and a half ago, where we are coming back on what's called Demo Day at this big driving range that was a half-hour bus ride from the convention center. It's funny how life works sometimes. If you and I were not sitting together, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and I would not be learning about all the impactful things as a charity as you grow with the dozen golf courses you have now with Get Golfing, and how you're creating these great social impacts both on and off the golf course. And we did go into a deep dive here on the audio podcast that I mentioned already. But why don't you give our viewers here an overview of the great things, or even a story? I know you're a great storyteller. Give us a story of the impact that you've made on one of your golf courses over the last couple of years, or maybe something that just happened last Thursday. So why don't you share a couple of stories, or at least one that you're very proud of the impact that Get Golfing is making in your communities?
Sure. I mean, communities are everything. Like I said on the podcast earlier, our golf courses are for our golfers, for our members, but our clubhouse are for everyone. Everyone in our community. They're literally for everybody. So everyone is welcome at any of our golf clubs. And we just feel it's the right thing to do to make everyone feel welcome, to get people introduced to golf. So even if it's for a drink, if it's for some food, if it's to watch some sports, but on our premise, then that could be a start of something that ignites the fire in their hopeful golfing passion later in life. So that's the start. Stories, hey, there's so many. I tell you what, it's got in relation to do with this event that we're hosting towards the end of August with this festival of golf, and it was only a couple of weeks ago. As we're working with Edgar, which is the disabled charity, they came to us and gave us training about to understand what it's like to be disabled and how we can make make the accessibility of golf courses even easier, and we promote it for Get Golfing specifically. And it was an absolutely amazing experience. We got about 40 of us. We sat through the presentations, they were so inspiring, and then we went on the driving range. And this is where they bring out wheelchairs, they bring out blindfolds, they bring out all these different kinds of, let's say, mechanics to understand what it would be like to be disabled playing golf. And I have to say, I'm nearly 30 years old now. I never really understood what it would be like to, let's say, have one leg and try and hit a golf ball, or be sitting in a wheelchair and understand the difficulties, but then also understand how we can promote it and teach it. But that was one day which I'll never forget, and I've learned so much in just a 3 hour period of what it's like to, let's say, be blinded in one eye, in both eyes, to be one legged, to have one arm, to lose your loss of balance if you have diseases such as, I don't know, myofibromalgia. I mean, there's so many different things out there, and so many disabilities, but it's our role to learn from it and promote it. And not so much of a story, but I would say it's a life lesson, and a very proud one.
It sounds like that experience has really helped to build your empathy muscle, really understanding what it's like, to be in that person's shoes, or in this case, wheelchair. And from our earlier conversation, it sounds like Edward Richardson, the founder who tragically did pass away a few months ago from a heart attack, that he instilled those values in that culture. Can you talk a little bit about that legacy with Edward Richardson and what he's left, and how that really informs and inspires you and everybody else with Get Golfing?
Yeah, I mean, Edward Richardson, he personally means a lot to me, but all of us here at Get Golfing, whether it's a previous staff member, a current staff member, or even for our golfers and visitors and customers and everyone associated with Get Golfing. And we owe it all to this man, Edward Richardson, who started Get Golfing only in 2018, but unfortunately passed away in November 2023 very suddenly. But he was such a mentor to all of us. And I was saying to you earlier, just unknowingly teaching us so much that later in life, this legacy would just carry on, knowing that he did everything he could to install as much knowledge and passion about golf into us, because we are the future. And then it's understanding that we now need to look at the younger generation and install it into them. And then I would say that there's a very happy man called Edward Richardson looking down on us, knowing that Get Golfing is in the best hands possible.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very, very proud of everything that you've done and are set up to do in the future. So we can go on for a long time here on the ModGolf YouTube channel, but I want to keep this fairly short because once again, we had a great conversation on our audio podcast. And again, the link down below, I've included that and really encourage all of you viewers to become listeners there because we really learn about the origin story, the aha moment, and the early formation with the first golf course with Get Golfing, and then how you've expanded that during a little thing called COVID and how you've built resilience and passion with the team. So, you know what, why don't we keep it to this right now? So as we finish up, why don't you let our viewers know if they're curious about Get Golfing, maybe they want to get involved, maybe they want to partner with you and they're in the UK. So how can people reach out and find you and connect with both you personally and also with Get Golfing?
Absolutely. So, like I said, we are open to the public. We're open to everyone, and you'll always get a warm welcome at any of our golf clubs. So, if anyone fancies a round of golf here in England, our golf clubs are predominantly based around the M25. So, if you're flying into London, I guarantee you one of our golf clubs is no more than a 30-minute drive. So, please, you can get on the website, getgolfing.org. You can see all our different golf courses on a map. So, if one's close to you, you would always be welcome. But no, to contact me personally, I'm always happy to have a chat, whether it's on a bus spontaneously or you want to drop me an email because you're coming on holiday. Please contact myself at nick@getgolfing.org, and we would be happy to host anybody that has the same amount of passion for golf for us, and you would always be most welcome.
Wow. Well, again, Nick, thank you so much for joining me today on the ModGolf YouTube channel. I absolutely love what you're doing. Hopefully I get on a plane and then maybe on a bus and meet you again, maybe even as early as this summer. I'd love to see if my schedule will permit and I can join you for the festival to really see all the impactful things you're doing and see you again in person. And we were deprived of getting together for that beer, for that pint. So we'll have to make sure we don't make that mistake a second time.
Uh,
Absolutely.
That rounds on me, but I assure you it'll be a proper pint, an
There we
English
go.
pint.
Love it. Well, hey, Nick Darby, again, thank you much. Thank you so much for joining us again on the Mod Golf YouTube channel. Love what you're doing and enjoyed the conversation. So thanks again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Colin.